In the last 12 years, I've flown over 1 million miles back and forth from Atlanta to East Africa to try to help mobilize people both in the US and in East Africa to do more in the effort against the greatest humanitarian crisis of our generation. I can vividly remember sitting in an auditorium in South Barrington, Illinois, where I was first confronted with the issue of HIV and AIDS. And in that moment, I felt there was a great sense of responsibility for my own ignorance, for my own prejudice, and for my lack of action to care for this very vulnerable group of people that prior to that point, I had no idea even existed. And it was in that experience that set in motion the events that led me to Kenya the following summer that would eventually connect me to Cornel and Duncan and give birth to this organization, Care for AIDS.
Imagine I grew up in the village where it was hard to get somebody without HIV/AIDS. Every weekend, somebody has died of HIV/AIDS. And nobody wants to talk about it because it's a taboo, and the discrimination and the stigma around it. Imagine seeing women being rejected and children being sent away from home because there was nowhere to go.
I grew up knowing my calling was to serve the local church to help solve challenging issues within the community. HIV and AIDS crisis has torn away families and has left millions of children orphaned and brought with it great economic challenges within our societies.
I left with this abstract idea of an epidemic, and I came back with a very personal connection to the crisis through the many people that I met while I was there. It wasn't about the disease, but it was about these men, women, and children who looked different than me, that came from a different place than I did, but desired a lot of the same things I did. They wanted the best education for their kids. They wanted to be together as a family, and HIV was robbing them of that opportunity.
I wrote this book with Justin and Duncan, and when we hear each other's story, it is very clear that God was preparing them before to deal with this HIV situation.
I've spent the last 12 years working with the local churches to support parents. I want to make sure that there is no child who becomes orphaned as a result of HIV and AIDS.
When people read this book, I hope that they will see 3 very ordinary men who did small actions, and over time those actions became something that grew into an international movement around HIV and AIDS. My name is Justin Miller, and this is my story.
My name is Cornel Onyano, and this is my story.
My name is Duncan Kimani, and this is my story.